Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fifth Ask Me Anything session for Decentraland Community. I'm Fractilians from the Facilitation Squad, and I'm also joined today with Matamio and Fede, who are also part of the DAO Facilitation Squad. While everyone's joining, I'm going to share with you guys a couple of links. I have here here's the Slido link. Let me just paste it real quick here for you guys. If it is pasting, hold on a second, it didn't copy paste properly. There you go. It's in the chat for everybody if you want to add any questions for today. And second, I wanted to also share the playlist from all the past AMAs. And all of these AMAs are recorded and we post them up on the Decentraland DAO YouTube. So here's the link for the playlist for that if you guys want to check those out. And yeah, regarding the Techlo AMA agenda, we will have another 3 for this next cycle. So the next one will be on January 18th. So I hope you guys can all join us for that as well. And we truly believe that creating bridges between Decentraland Foundation and the grantees and opening this space to provide transparency and support to these specific questions asked by you guys is a really great step in building our community. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or blockers, always feel free to reach out to the Grant Support Squad Verified Partners Registry, and they always do their best to answer anything you guys have. And also, I wanted to give another little thing that we've just created. The Grant Support Squad and the Facilitation Squad just created a new promo Google form specifically for any grantees that is wanting to us to help them promote their project, and I will paste that as well here in the chat for you guys. So feel free to use that, and let me share it right here. We all here want to see you guys, you grantees have amazing, successful projects and are here to support you in however way we can. And also, I want to welcome everyone from Foundation side to join us on our first town hall of 2023 in our Decentraland DAO Discord, and that's happening tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. EST, 8:30 p.m. UTC. Well, today is the Catalyst and Decentralized Services session, and I'll pass it on to Matthias, who is the Catalyst and Decentralized Services Engineering Manager from Decentraland Foundation. And thanks so much, Matthias, for being here, and I'll pass it on.
Thank you. Amazing introduction. So let me share my screen. I will present. Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Awesome. So I'm going to do a quick presentation, and then we can jump to the questions. So again, today I'm presenting on behalf of the platform team. I'm going to do a small recap of what we do, what we're here, and Miguel is going to talk about the Decentralized Services team. Again, if you don't have the link or you want to scan this is the Slido. It's already on the chat. You can use it. And as a recap, in case you haven't been here the time before, it's what is platform, why do we exist is a philosophical question. And what we do with the Catalyst network is to enable massive decentralized communication and content management in real time for the Decentraland protocol. So this is our mission. Our products, this is growing. Last time we added the status page. So we have the Catalyst network. This is our, of course, our key product where we manage all the decentralized content, where we manage the communications between the users connected to the platform, and validate ownership and do a lot of stuff. Then we have the status page. This is a new small product that we are maintaining, and we want to keep improving to bring transparency to the community when there are incidents or something is not working as expected. And since December, we launched Worlds. Worlds, it's also like a small Catalyst server that where you can deploy isolated scenes and have them deployed to your name, so you can have kind of your own private realm and use this to do experiments, build isolated experiences, meet with friends. And I think this is going to keep growing and growing, and we are going to keep adding more features to Worlds. On the last meeting, we talked about our roadmap. Our roadmap was to launch the Worlds Alpha. This was like a private testing with some content creators, friends and family that wanted to provide feedback about the feature. We did the alpha and we actually launched the public beta, and this is having a lot of adoption. Then we wanted to be more resilient with the graph, and we were looking for alternatives as the graph tends to fail, and when the validations to the blockchain fails through the graph, we fail in validating content on the catalyst. So now I'm going to talk about a bit more about what we are doing, but we are having a different service, and we are calling an RPC that is using the graph and Satsuma, and we are also implementing something that is on-chain validation. So whenever we can, we go directly to a smart contract instead of using these query systems. And this is going to enable us to be more decentralized and also to do the validations in a more resilient way. We were working also in peer-to-peer. We wanted to have a light implementation of peer-to-peer. We shift direction here. We release communications over LiveKit. We are not dropping peer-to-peer. It's still available, but we launched the LiveKit version because it has such a good performance in comparison with peer-to-peer. It has an added cost for the Catalyst owner, but we can deep dive on what's going on there. And also we were testing something that's called Catalyst fast bootstrapping. To bootstrap a Catalyst node, it used to take around like half an hour. We were able to lower this time. It's still in progress, but to around 5 minutes. And this is going to enable us to provide fast patchers and have less downtime when we have an issue. So in the end, the idea is to be more resilient. And there were some minor status page improvements. So for this current quarter, like the first time quarter of the 2023, we are working on the on-chain validations. This require a major change of how we do the content validations. The idea is to have to go directly to some smart contracts in order to perform the validations when we are uploading content to the content server instead of using the graph whenever we can. So that's already been implemented, for example, for wearables, for names, for scenes, and we are working on doing on-chain validation for profiles, for profile deployments. Then we are doing the load balancing request between two providers, between Satsuma and the graph, to do the rest of the queries, and that's also going to be helping to be more resilient, but that requires to deploy graph, index the information, so it takes time. We are working on words V1, so the idea is to see what features we can add to integrate these words with places so that people can discover other users' words. So you can have a place to index, search, to see if people like your word, how many users are connected to the scene. So this is going to help with the discoverability and to share this amazing experience that content creators are doing in Word. The fast bootstrapping rollout was done like last week, so this is already on production. And another thing that we plan to work on is to improve the pick and logic. So when you enter Decentraland, you go through a logic that will assign you to a catalyst based on different patterns, like the latency or if there are users connected to those realm. The idea is to make that logic more intelligent and also to choose if the catalyst is more up to date, give a better scoring, or if what else, or if you have like or if the server is consuming a lot of resources like CPU and memory, don't keep sending that people to that server because that server is not able to host more users. So in order to avoid killing that server, send it to another one. So there are a couple of things that we want to add. It's all in those public ADRs that you can check later if you want to know more. In terms of key metrics, we still track the capacity per node. We still think that are at 1,500 users per catalyst. The comms latency in the previous quarter, I don't know if you remember, but it used to be like between 25 seconds or 30 seconds for the 75% of the users. This means that when you are in a crowded place and you send a message, it could be like a chat message, a voice chat, or a profile update. It took up to 30 seconds to get that update to the rest of the users close to you. With the new live icons, it takes like between 1 and 2 seconds when you are in a cloud event. So the performance like hugely improved, and you should be able to experience this if you use the voice chat or things like that. And in terms of incidents, we are doing good. We only had two small incidents on December, and they were part of some of the releases, I think. I don't recall, but it's all in the central and status page. And I think that's mainly it for the recap. And now, Miguel, I'll leave it to you.
Right. Thank you, Matias. So I'm Miguel from the services team. So I introduced you to this new team last time, and since then we've grown quite a lot, from 4 developers to 7. And with them, we've also broadened our products and our expertise areas. We'll be talking about this now, but we still have the same mission, the same personas we want to help here, and it's to enable the content creators and the communities by providing an intermediate set of services and apps to interact with the world and provide added value. So in these terms, we are still focusing on the social areas in the world, as well as engagement and discovery. For this, we also changed or shifted the organization of the team into two different work streams. One focusing on social and identity, while the other will be focusing more on the engagement and discovery part. So let's go to the next slide, please. All right, so I already mentioned we manage the friends and messaging or private messaging part of the world. This is the friends management, friend requests that you get inside Explorer, but also the direct messages and the public channels that we released last quarter, as well as the presence and whereabouts feature that tells you whether your friends are online or not, and you can jump into them. And now we are also managing the events, places, web apps that you might already know for advertising of events in the world, for rating, recommending, and advertising your scenes. And in general, I would say the discovery is of activities in the center. Next slide, please. So some of our key points for the roadmap of this quarter is the release of the social service milestone 1. That's going to be coming maybe in a couple of weeks now, but surely this month. This is the service that's going to be wrapping our current chat and friends management system, and will enable us to apply some business logics to extend the friendship querying capabilities. With milestone 1 coming now, we're going to be having faster friendship requests, to be enabling those querying capabilities, such as your own friends as well as mutual friends, and we'll be able to share that information in different parts of our system. Then quests is something we've been working on the product definition and the design. We continue with that, and now moving towards the actual product definition and milestones, while also starting the work on POC in order to de-risk some of the things we want to do with this new system. This will be enabling content creators to create quests with adventures, to engage more players to come back to the Decentraland, and eventually also to articulate this with our rewards service. Then we have planned a guest support on channels, on our public channels. What we plan to do here is having some kind of maybe limited capacity for guests that currently cannot access our private friends and management system, but also in order for them to join and be able to participate in the channel somehow, and probably to convert them to full-fledged wallet users as well. Then we are working on the design for the private channels and permission system as well. Right now, we only have public channels, and they're very limited. But at this point, what we are trying to do here is to have some sort of permission system for moderation, for inviting people to new private channels, um, and be able also to, of course, invite and remove or even ban people, but to manage those specific topics in a way. Um, in regards to places events, we're planning some upgrades for places. I think the main thing be doing the upload and an update of new scenes automatically, as today is a manual process, and of course try to work on the refinement of the data. And for the events page, we are working on a design of new filters and new sections for them, as well as an individual event page and submission form. Next slide, Matthias. Well, talking about our highlights for this quarter, we are still on track and achieving this KR for having a stable chat management system. We have a release of new social features coming this week with new capabilities. You'll see it in Explorer in a bit. And also we have the upcoming social service milestone 1 coming, I think it's gonna be next week, where we will be enabling these creating capabilities for friends from different clients. Our low light, we had an incident during, I think was last December. We're doing some updates in our security policies. We had a service and availability for a couple of hours, but we worked on the process of communication, and we're trying to ensure this is not going to happen anymore. So I think that's it from my side. Next slide, please. All right, so I think we can open up to questions.
Yep, let me jump into the questions that we already have. Just a second. Okay, and let's start to tackle the questions. So, okay, top to bottom, as usual. How can I check the traffic visitors of a world? So, for worlds, I think most of you already have the monitor that we use for the catalyst. Let me remove the observers to remove the noise. I believe there are two questions related to words. One is how many words there are, and the other is how many users. The one at the bottom is the only word server that we have now. And currently there are 110 words deployed. This means that there are 110 names that have a scene deployed to it. And then you can see how many users are in words. So how many words are inhabited. At the moment, there are 0. So there are all these scenes, but there are no users running on the scenes. And it's not possible yet to see which word has which user. So if you see, I don't know, like there are 10 users connected to words, you cannot see at the moment in which word they are connected to. But that's part of the roadmap, so we want to add that. I'm going to then send this link, the monitor link, in the written questions, but here you have it just in case you want to check it. So let me mark this, unless you have another follow-up.
Matthias,
Yes.
can you please increase the size of the font?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I can mark those as answered if you want. So you don't need to switch.
Yeah, that would help. So the next one. Do you believe it's a conflict of interest for the foundation to subsidize node operators directly? Why or why not? Do you think this practice should continue? So I think not. But the thing is, to kick off Decentraland, some nodes started to be run. So some agreements were created between private parties, between the foundation and some catalyst owners to start running some nodes and to be decentralized. If there is a different proposition, like, I don't know, someone wants the DAO to pay for the nodes, or you would like to host actually your own node, this is totally possible if the community wants this. So I think the best option for this would be to send a DAO proposal and have that discussion there with more people of the community. I don't know if this answered the question.
I can chime in also, Mati, if you let me. So this is part of Vice President of Engineering for the Decentraland Foundation. As we are having this meeting, we are chatting about this is a great opportunity to start collaborating, both members of the foundation and the DAO. So whoever that is interested on participating in this proposal in terms of transferring the governance responsibilities and the contractual obligations, it means the contracts we have in place with the catalyst owners from the foundation to the DAO, everybody will be more than happy. There is also an opportunity that was escalated by multiple grantees in terms of what are the specifications or requirements we are sharing with the catalyst owners. That is going to be also amazing to define as a community, right? How many nines we're expecting in terms of uptime, what is supposed to be the latency, and some other matters that can probably improve the player experience and the community that is on top of those catalysts. So please reach out to me and we can work together on it. But I think this is an amazing opportunity.
Okay, so the next one, how many words have been deployed? Can I check the information by consulting the content servers? Yeah, well, that's the previous question. It's in the monitor. And what we don't have yet is the list of names that have words exposed. But once we have the version 1, we want to expose the list of words in the places site. So you will be able to search, index, and everything, and filter by words. So let's mark these two. There. So can we have a public name channel chat like chat.dcl.is so people can publicly talk about a specific project on Decentraland?
I think I can take that. I'm not really sure if this is related to a channel inside Explorer or outside of it. But in terms of what we want to do inside the world, well, this is still in design. I think the main idea is not to have it specifically coupled to the DCLF name, but rather to have our own system of channel names and private channels. But it would be a way for people to discuss different topics, of course. And outside of it, so this is currently not there, but we don't have still an implementation of the chat outside of Explorer. We might have one but it's not not currently in the roadmap.
Okay. So mark this as answer. Like in any time, if anyone wants to chime in and make a comment, please do. Or if you want to know more information. So the next one, can we have a new catalyst that is different city to Genesis City with its own land sales? Yes, this is totally possible. This is a fork of Decentraland. This already happened like a couple of times. So you need to clone, you need to fork the catalyst server, and you also need new contracts. So you would need like a new land contract that can manage the land for your new metaverse implementation. But you can leverage everything because everything is open source. So it would be like creating the new contract, changing the URL, creating the new catalyst, spin it up, and point to the new contracts and do your own validations. And actually, there are several implementations using all our resources. Then I will move on. Portable experience block script has been broken. Plans to reconnect the library so that it works again. Token gates broke into and game exploded by jetpacks. I think this is more for SDK. I cannot help with this one. If there is no one from SDK here, we can look for an answer later and try to respond in written when we send the questions.
Next week we have the SDK session, so if you wanna put the question in the next slide, you can do that for the one that answered that question.
So will World Server have stats accessible in the same way current catalysts have stats available? Yes, I think the information that we expose, it's available. I don't know, Mariano, are you here? Perhaps you can comment on this one.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm wondering which stats specifically. We already have the number of worlds deployed in the content server, and we already have the number of users connected in the comms server. Not sure what stats you guys are expecting.
Okay, so yeah, it was me that asked that. I was asking, yeah, basically what will be available via API, because yeah, I mean, if possible, I would like to try to pull that and be able to use it for determining metrics.
Yeah, so right now we only have those that I mentioned. As Matthias was saying, we will also have like ranking, not the ranking, but saying which worlds have how many users. That will be included by the end, but by the time we release V1. And I'm all happy to hear if there's anything else we can add. Like, things here are a little different to what they are in Decentral and in Genesis City. So some things don't make sense, but if there's anything that makes sense, I'll be more than happy to think about it.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so next one. I think this one is also for SDK. Some of the updates dependencies stopping my scene from functioning properly. Will the latest SDK dependencies be enforced to the users? Yeah, I'm going to move this one. And why did you deprecate historical data on the Catalyst nodes? Deployments pointer data is no longer accessible. Can you explain how to deploy on archival node? Mariano, do you want to take this one too?
Yes. I guess that's...
I can take this if you want.
Go on, Aus.
I don't think that historical data is deprecated. The only thing deprecated is that endpoint, but it was done a long time ago, as there wasn't a use case that really needed or someone that was actively using it, and it consumed lots of database resources. So if any of you have like a special use case that you need to solve, maybe we can discuss that.
We at Atlas used to use the table of profile changes to understand the order in which people registered for Decentraland, and like who's an OG is based on that particular table. And so whether or not it was available by API didn't really matter, because we were doing our queries directly on Postgres inside of our own Catalyst server. And now that table, we can't get that data. And historically, when we ran Catalyst nodes, even if we started a Catalyst node, you know, a year after Decentraland started, it would back up all of the profile changes from other nodes. And I was able to like get all your profile changes and then order them from ascending to descending or vice versa, and do that for the whole list, and then order that and assign people like Decentraland citizen numbers, so to say.
And just to expand on that, you know, we also have a use case that we're working with a a partner with the DAO data right now, where we're trying to understand how many people were at historical scenes. So in order to do that, you need to see the deployment data of what the scene footprint coverage was at the time. So without that data, you can't go back and answer those kind of questions.
Okay, well, it seems like a thing that we need to discuss much more, but just a few comments here. Is the information is there. I mean, the nodes that have all the history, the history wasn't deleted from any of them, but we need to take into account that any Catalyst owner has the option to enable the garbage collection. So we cannot ensure that every Catalyst has all the information.
No, for
but
sure.
Anyway,
What we'd like to do on our side is make sure that we can at least get a Catalyst node running now. So if everybody else decides to not do it, we at least have a backup copy, and then other people can decide if they want to duplicate that data or not. But I want to make sure that it doesn't ever just go lost because everyone independently decided to not do it.
Sure. Well, I was going to suggest something like that. We already have one historical Catalyst, but we are not storing profiles, so maybe it won't be useful for your use case. But we have like the same need. We wanted to store like all the historical scenes and where else, so we set up a Catalyst. We had to do some hack thing to bring all the old deployments, but well, we can work on that with the team and you.
Yeah.
And then what that list does is to listen all the changes, like you said, and store them locally. So I think that maybe that will fulfill your use case, something like that.
Okay, cool. So we can provide out those details and that information in case you need it when we provide the written answers, or like even in the Catalyst channel in Discord. Moving to the next one. Would you be willing to publish the contractual agreements you have in place between the foundation and node operators? I'm not sure about the implications of that. I think this is a bit out of the scope of the technical questions. And not sure.
I think, Mati, this is extremely related to the previous one. I think, to be honest, sharing those contracts that is taking place between two private entities, even though on one side is the Decentraland Foundation as a non-profit organ, is something that we need to check with the legal team, but there is nothing hidden there. I think the way to resolve this is, as we were speaking, is transferring this responsibility, putting all together at the Decentraland Foundation and the DAO community, a contract and an SLA in place that will apply and will be voted by the community to start from now on applying to all the Catalyst owners.
I do think there's an element of that is about, like, even if there is funding coming from the DAO, if there's still continued funding coming from the foundation to particular node operators, it is about a transparency thing. And so you can assess, like, do I want to go on that Catalyst server? What is the implication of me going there versus me going elsewhere?
Yeah, it's not one or the other, right? As soon as we gain consensus, it should be one, and our preferred choice is transferring this governance responsibility to the DAO. And then, of course, having foundation Catalyst instances running in the same way and under the same rules of thumb for the rest of the community and the Catalyst owners. I think that's the most transparent we can achieve. But one more time, remember when we were having this discussion, right, with the Atlas team and some of the grantees, this is a great opportunity for all of us to work together, right? What is the SLA? Is it doable, non-doable? 5.9, is that reachable? Do we need to increase the fees that we pay to the Catalyst owners if we really want to reach that reliability? There are a bunch of discussions in terms of production support that we need to reach consensus.
I'm all for giving these people funding. It's kind of crazy to think that they would run the server at that scale for that length of time without proper compensation. And not exactly cover costs, because like they have to do more than that. They have to pay attention to updates, they have to pay the bill. There is stuff associated with that. So
indeed, it's amazing feedback.
Okay, moving to the next one. What are the server requirements by X quantity of users for the Catalyst servers? So I took a look to this one. So we are currently running the foundation nodes with a T2X large AWS machine. It has 4 cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it consumes at least, you need to have like 1 terabyte of disk to store all the entities. And that is with garbage collection on. So you only have the active content in the platform. And with that type of machine, you can host between 1,000 or 1,500 users. And in the new, well, now in the foundation nodes, we are also running a new type of comms that runs over LiveKit. That is optional because you can still run comms over peer-to-peer and you don't need to. But if you run comms over LiveKit, you will have like very high performance comms, and you would be able to have this type of voice chat conversations that we're having here with a crowd. And in a similar machine, you can host between 300 or 400 users. So the T2X large machine, 4 cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM, you can manage the comms for 400 users, or you can use the LiveKit Cloud account and have it with autoscale. But I think those are the main numbers.
Are those the similar numbers if you're running a world server for the same concurrent amount of users, would you say?
No, I think it's much easier to run a world server because the world server doesn't have lambdas, doesn't have a lot of like extra things that you have to run a Catalyst. So you need a very small machine to run a world server, and you can have a different type of comms and have your isolated scene running. We actually have like a world's owner server that you can run it yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm running it, but I'm trying to understand, like, okay, if I have 1,000 users, what is the footprint I should expect? Because I didn't actually load test it. I'm not like, I don't know, it seemed like a lot of work.
It should be much less than running the whole Genesis city. You deal with less content, less services, less everything. So, how can I chat with my Decentraland friend without using the reference client? Can I use an alternative chat application or build one? Miguel, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Shannon, do you want to take this one? Are you there? Okay. All right. So yeah, you can use. We are exposing a client for social interactions, which could enable you to build your own application and chat with people inside the world. And this is all done. Our current chat infrastructure is built on top of Matrix, but on top of that, we build some other models for our friendships in Decentraland and direct messages. But you can use the code for the social client, the Matrix client that it's in or already in our organization. Yeah, and that would be it. Related to the next one, which is how can I create the list of friends of an address? So the answer is the same. You can also use our open source client for that. What you can also do is with the new social service that we are going to be releasing is not only querying for the list of friends of your own, but also for the mutual friends. Oh yeah, Shani.
No, yeah, I was going to say that we have an open API that currently only allows to query your own friends. I mean, in the social service, which is not released yet, but it's on plans on being released soon. But the thing is, the first version won't allow to query the friends of any address, only your own. And in the future, once we have the permissions API that Miguel was just talking about, you will be able to query the friends of people who expose their friends openly, like it was in the past, for example, in Facebook or other platforms, where basically the owner of the friends decides who can see those friends publicly. And the same will happen with other features.
So moving to the next one, how can I learn more about the format of data to update the avatar's outfit? I think this is for content development, right? So it should go also to SDK, unless someone has the answer.
Yeah, this one has kind of been passed around a few times now. So I'm more interested in using like the Catalyst client, like with the deployments. I've been through like the Explorer to see how their deploy avatar function, but it was just a little bit unclear, like what is the format of the data that gets passed to that. And so Explorer kind of said maybe platform would know, but if you think then that's maybe an SDK thing. But it seemed more something through the Catalyst client. So what I'm looking to do is build a web application that can send information to update the avatar's outfit from the web app. So it doesn't have to be answered now, but if there is one contact who understands a little bit more about that data format or somewhere to get some more information, that would be helpful.
So it's like you want to
Mati, I think this is about what wearables or emotes you are using in the avatar, right? So it's how you build the profile. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, what's currently equipped in the world to be able to change that.
Yeah, so for that, you need to deploy a new profile entity with the newly equipped things you want. And then you submit that using the post/entities endpoint. And that is just like any other entity. There is a schema repository called Common Schemas where you have all the details of what, Matthias is sharing that. Common Schemas where you have the profile and what are the mandatory fields, but you can download any profile and just look up there what it needs to have.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look.
So this is not about the content tip, just to be clear, this is us. Take a look at there and ping me on, you can ping me on Discord.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, my internet connection I think is running low, but yes. And just in case, I will also send in the chat the link to the Catalyst API, because you can check the post profiles endpoint here.
Post entities.
Post entities. Yeah. Sorry. In the content server. Okay. So moving on. Will it be possible to launch SDK without an internet connection? I think it's another one for SDK. We'll find an answer for those ones. Will there ever be a way to purchase more parcels, megabytes for scene deploy to worlds to get above the current 100 megabytes and 242 limitations? I think that there will be, not sure how yet is going to be defined. This is more like a product decision that needs to be made on how to manage this and how we can scale the server. With the beta, we wanted to see how many users use words, how this increase, how the service scale. So we needed to have like small limitations. And on the other hand, you can always run your own word server and have no limitations.
We just to throw this out there, we're actively working on that as an infrastructure as a service site right now. Should be live in a couple days.
So are you going to planning to provide like a hosting server for words?
Yeah, there'll be a couple options. Obviously, enterprise is enterprise. People want very specific things. But we have a CI/CD pipeline set up to both edit the whitelist functionality that's already built into the repos, and second to that, spin up net new servers that are dedicated. So you can do like Elastic or dedicated, whatever you want.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's not really a function of parcel size because that's irrelevant. That doesn't actually impact anything on this. It's just a function of megabytes and concurrent users.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll cycle the information back to all of you as quickly as possible, but it should be live in the next like 2 days. We already have a client for a world, so ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, that's amazing. Pretty cool. And yeah, we were hoping for this to happen, like for people to start running their own hosting service for work, because everything is there. So.
And if you have a look at the latest in the repo, you see that you can now plug and play your own strategy for name permissioning. So that's more pluggable now. You still have to add your own one, but everything is there. It should be quite straightforward.
The repo is great. I read through the owner repo. I read through the other two that are associated with it, and like I've said from day one when I came to Decentraland, the code is like it's really well written. It's like makes use of like serious TypeScript, like all the different elements of what it's written in. And it's pretty thorough. So commend you on that for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move. Is the online builder supporting SDK 7? Do you plan on deprecating it soon? For this one, we will find out unless someone has an answer.
Mati, are you copying those questions to the SDK? That's going to be the next Ask Me Anything session, taking place next Wednesday.
Awesome.
Are you copying and pasting those to the other Slido? No?
Myself, no, but we have the complete list of questions. We can do that.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So if we improve search functions for words, that is the plan to improve search functions. And if you are improving search functions for words, what is the plan to improve search functions in Decentraland? I don't know what this means for search functions. What we are like trying to do with words is improve the discoverability, because at the current time, if you don't know the name, there is no way you can find a word. So someone has to give you the name and you find the realm. Is there any? I don't know if who did the question.
And what we are doing is trying to add those into the list of places of interest.
Yeah, we have the places site. It's places.decentraland.org. Yeah, thank you. So it would be ideal to integrate the list of words with the content, with the likes of the users, with the amount of users that are connected to this site. Sorry, it's not the web page, it's my internet connection that is running low. Okay. So we can have this same type of metadata exposed by the word server. It would be very easy to integrate with this, and you could like filter. I don't know, I want to see the scenes that are words, and they can be here. And it's the same search engine that we have for a scene world. If there are no more comments, I'm going to move to the next one. So what is involved with adding a new wearable category? Currently, hands category is in stack to search. I think this is part of the same.
I can take one part of this one if you want, Mati.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Nacho.
One of the things that, for example, for labs, we need to assess if how much will take in terms of time to integrate this in the builder marketplace, because that is an impact between all the dApps, and also if we need to do any modification at the catalyst or at the catalyst level. But the hard part for this is how the armature of the avatar has been built, because if that is feasible for the avatar to have a different pair of hands or not, and how the explorer will render that hands. So I think that the best way to start contributing for this is just to maybe do a proof of concept with the current avatar system that we have right now, or maybe open a forum forum in the forum. I don't know the name, a thread in the forum or a post in the forum, whatever. But but that would be other way to contribute. I'm not sure if we have already a process. Yes, maybe that would be awesome. Alvaro, I think that is the right person, but it's not here. He is dealing with a launch today. But I think that the big constraint is in the Explorer part and the Avatar Armature. For dApps or platform, wherever, it's everything can be possible.
Okay, thank you, Nacho. Next one. So, will it be possible to select multiple names when deploying to increase the number of parcels in a single deployment? I don't know yet, but we actually thought about the idea of being able to define like a neighborhood of words where you can set a list of names and load all the scenes in that are in those lists. So you can load different words into one single small metaverse. But for the time being, that was just an idea, and we can discuss this idea.
When you said you're adding scenes to worlds, basically, so it doesn't have to be one world scene.
Yeah. So imagine that if you have, I don't know, like an instance of like a district, but instead of having a district, you have a list of words, and then you show into that realm, and you get the 3 words that you added to that list loaded. So you would have like a small metaverse,
like a lobby world.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was just an idea. I think that the thing is we need to define how are we going to expand the limits of the words in terms of size or the amount of concurrent users that it can host. And once you expand the size, it's okay. If you have a limit of 300 megabytes, it's still only so much you can do because you only have one scene. Do you want to have more? Perhaps you should move to the Genesis City, or perhaps there should be an alternative ways to do it. So it's more TBD for the time being. Any plans to launch an NPM package so that users can launch? I think this is a WebSocket connection with one click. Currently, the process is a bit long. I'm not sure about this one. If anyone can help or has an idea, or if the person who did the question wants to explain a bit more.
Yeah, at least to understand what WSS means.
Yeah, I suppose it's a WebSocket, but
Yeah, it's a WebSocket connection. Yeah, because currently you have to do a lot of work to get to the end goal.
Currently we have what's the name? It's a well-known component called HTTP server, and that already has support for WebSockets. It still takes a bit of wiring to set it up, but it should be very straightforward. If you want to have a look, I can probably paste the link of a repo where we use it and where we are building the WebSocket room service, which is what Worlds uses for comms.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me find it and paste it in the chat.
Also, I just wanted to give a heads up that in 1 minute, we'll take one more question. We're coming to a close soon.
Okay, thank you. So, any plans to redesign the district that have now dissolved? I don't know about this one. If this content is districts or it's... So I'm going to move to the last one. Can we get all the chats on the Discord in-game? I think this is for the services.
This is, I think this is a tricky one. We don't have a roadmap for this. So the idea would be to get all those chats from the Discord inside the game. I think that would be a no, at least for now, as these are 2 separate systems. We would need to somehow register or a client for the Discord system inside the game. Oh,
Do we have a clear understanding of what is the rationale behind the question? If it's about like channels can be used as Discord, or if we are aiming to import all the historical messages into the Decentraland, I think like having more clarity will help by providing a sharper answer.
I guess it might have to be with the rich presence snippet that Discord provides for users and applications, but just an idea.
So I don't know about this feature, but I'll check here and I'll surely answer this offline in the written session. Right.
Okay, I think that's it. Unless someone has one last question, I think we have 2 minutes.
Well, thanks again, Matias, Miguel, Pato, Angustina, Mariano, for being here, and everyone else from the foundation for answering all these questions. And also thanks to all the community members' questions for being here today. Special thanks to Pablo and Gia for all the work putting this together, of course, and Zeno. But the recording of today will be uploaded in the next few days or the next day to the Decentraland Endowed YouTube, so be on the lookout for that. I'll post it on Twitter and Discord. Plus, all the questions answered here will also be available on GitHub, and I'll put the link here in the chat. And thanks again for everyone for joining us, and be sure to join us for the next one on January 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you, team.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao, ciao, folks. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.